Hey, Saiko. Are you ready to go hunt some monsters? Let's review Monster Hunter Wilds. The game starts off with a group of town folks being attacked by a mysterious monster. Afraid the assault would prove deadly, one of the adults in the group clears a path for a little boy who resembles a child version of one M Night Shyamalan to escape to safety and maybe find some help. Cut to our intrepid heroes flying around on their airship. As they scan the environment for monsters to study, they happen to see M Night Jr. collapse on the ground from exhaustion. They rush to his rescue and vow to help him find his village, help his people, and discover the mystery of the monster that attacked. It's a basic premise primarily used to give the game direction and an excuse to fight monsters. I'm totally okay with it. I don't need nor want more than that from my video game stories. The only annoying part is that the story tries to put a dramatic twist to the motives of the mysterious monster who attacked M Night Jr.'s village. Instead of just letting it be a monster, the story reveals some nonsense about the keepers and guardians and the monster's a guardian that wanted to be free or something, so basically it's not the monster's fault it's attacking. It just doesn't know any better. I'm not against that type of quote-unquote twist on the monster's motives, but there are a few cutscenes where the childlike M Night is crying like a baby about how they shouldn't kill the monster that attacked and almost killed off his village. It's annoying because throughout the game we're killing monsters left and right who did far less than attack an entire town. Some quests have you kill monsters minding their own business just because one of your crewmate wants to test a new weapon. Another time a monster was hunted and killed because it captured a teammate who carelessly walked into the monster's lair. The solution to 90% of all the quests in this game are kill the monster. And mini M Night didn't have shit all to say about it. But when it comes to the one monster that actually terrorized and continued to terrorize the community, he's all, please, we can't, think of the monster. The reason why I generally don't care for elaborate stories in games is because the story and the gameplay normally don't line up. In Monster Hunter Wilds, we have a story of a kid who's conflicted about having to kill a single monster for whatever reason, but in the gameplay, we're killing things left and right without any qualms. The game is divided into 6 chapters, each one made up of 1 or more missions. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 compose the main story and ends with the credits. In Monster Hunter Vernacular, these are the low-rank missions. Once the credits roll, you're introduced to chapters 4 through 6, which compose the post-story and high-rank gameplay. Completing the main story, or chapters 1, 2, and 3, takes about 10 to 15 hours and does provide a satisfying and well-rounded gameplay experience. It gives closure to the story's central plot and consists of a bunch of fun monster hunts. So you'd be well within your rights bestowed unto you by the gaming gods to finish chapter 3 and call it a day. But if you wanted a bigger challenge and to experience the full breadth of gameplay, the high-rank missions are where it's at. Monster Hunter Wilds has many RPG-like elements. You can customize your main character and upgrade your weapons and armor. However, in most RPGs, the act of leveling up itself increases your character's stats. But in Monster Hunter Wilds, ranking up to the next Hunter rank does not directly improve your character in any way. Instead, increasing your Hunter rank simply unlocks new missions and quests that expose you to new monsters to fight and new materials to gather. And with those materials, you can upgrade your weapons and armor. It's an interesting way to handle leveling up because it can only improve your character indirectly. If you don't take advantage of the new materials you get from the hunts or forget to collect them, then your character won't get any stronger. A very cool feature of Monster Hunter Wilds is that it has 14 distinct weapons you can choose from for your hunts. There are heavy weapons that hit hard but make your character lumber around slowly and awkwardly, which I imagine would make combat very difficult in certain situations. There are light weapons that don't hit as hard but do allow you to move more freely to avoid attacks and strike. There's even ranged weapons if you want to fight from a distance. It's so cool because each weapon requires a completely different playstyle. So if you ever wanted to change things up for yourself, just switch weapons. I personally chose the Charge Blade as my weapon of choice. It allows for quick slashes and fast movement, but it also can be combined with its shield for some heavy hits. What's funny is that even though the Charge Blade does have a shield, which means I could block attacks, I don't recall ever guarding. What? I mostly followed the dodgeball rules.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Which makes me think, maybe next time I should choose a weapon without a shield. Maybe it would suit my playstyle even more. The game suggests you choose your main weapon at the start of the adventure, which I think is a good idea, but you are free to switch to a different primary at any time. The world to explore in Monster Hunter Wilds is pretty large, and if you had to walk it on foot, it'd take quite a while. Fortunately, early on in the game you're given a secret. Well, not secret, a Seikret, or Seikret, or I don't know how to pronounce it. You're essentially given a chocobo. It's fast and nimble, it can traverse all sorts of terrain, climb walls, and even glide. It's a great way to move around. You can even set waypoints on your map and the chocobo will automatically figure out the shortest path and run you right to it. It's a quality of life feature that I very much appreciated. But I didn't discover the best part of the chocobos until I was nearing the end of the low rank missions. For the majority of the early monster fights, I simply ran up to the monsters and fought them on foot. I was improving my technique and everything was going great until I had to hunt a particularly fast monster. My hero just couldn't keep up with its movements or get close enough to attack on foot, and that's when I remembered my chocobo was still around. So I whistled for it, and it picked me up like it normally does, and then I was able to run circles around the monster and swoop in for an attack. It was such a gratifying moment because the game didn't tell me to do this. Or if it did, I didn't notice. I just realized I was outmatched in speed by the monster, and then it clicked that I had access to my own speedster. Once I realized how effective it was to hunt with my chocobo, I used it for every fight thereafter. I got better and better at weaving in and out of the monster's attacks and jumping in for the strike. I had already been playing the game for over 10 hours at that point, so it was pretty awesome to discover a whole new gameplay strategy after already putting in so much time. It made me excited for the next technique I would discover. As I mentioned before, the first 3 chapters of the game consist of the low rank missions. These chapters are where the majority of the story is told, it's where you're going to see the most cutscenes and get introduced to all the characters and much of the gameplay. In some regards, the low rank missions can be seen as a glorified tutorial. I'm not saying it as an insult, it's still fun to play, and for newcomers to the series like me, it's essential to learning all the gameplay mechanics in a controlled and steady pace. I started Monster Hunter Wilds as a total newbie.
I said, I don't know, 0, nothing, whatever the system is. I can't do it. Is that clear enough for you?
But after completing these chapters, I felt I had a solid grasp of the game and was ready to continue the hunt. Which leads me to the high rank missions, where some say the real game begins. It covers chapters 4 through 6 and involves hunting a mix of new monsters and stronger variants from the low rank lot. The missions will test the skills you've learned and force you to evolve them to handle the new challenges. For the most part, the increase in difficulty felt fair and didn't escalate at an unreasonable pace, although there were 2 missions that did push me to the brink of my patience. The first involved a quest where I had to fight 2 high-ranking monsters at once. I'm all for challenging gameplay that tests your limits, but I generally prefer it when a game increases the difficulty of a boss by upping their fight patterns and forcing new and creative ways to combat them. But increasing the difficulty by simply throwing more monsters at you feels a little lazy and not that interesting to overcome. Luckily, this isn't a pattern the game followed often. The next time I was brought to the brink of absolute frustration was when I was fighting the Jin Dahad. This is an absolutely huge monster with a stupid amount of health. I fought this thing for over 3 hours and kept dying again and again. At one point, I know I was only a handful of strikes away from killing it, but I got careless and moved in the wrong direction, and it landed a direct hit that killed me and forced me to restart. After that loss, I had to put the controller down, take a break, and reevaluate. I then realized I was only 1 material away from being able to build a weapon that would add over 100 points to my attack attribute. So I went out and hunted the low-level monster to obtain the missing item, upgraded my weapon, and went back to try the Jin Dahad once more. This time I defeated it in one go. Monster Hunter Wilds is a pretty great looking game. It favors stylized life over realism and slightly tilts into the anime aesthetic, which I am a fan of. The human designs and monster designs are fun and quirky. The environments look mostly great, but my only criticism is that later areas that take place in this other world styled nexus do get a bit repetitive and look a bit bland and dreary. I see this in a lot of games. As soon as the game's world turns post-apocalyptic and end of days, everything becomes bland and unimaginative. I guess it's because when designers are styling the world after forests and deserts and plains, they have lots of real-world references to pull from that keep the designs varied and interesting. But when you have to create an entire world based on one central theme, evil or darkness or sickness, they can't really pull art references from reality, and so everything just looks blah. This is just my guess, so I could be wrong, but I do see this as a pattern over and over. Fortunately for Monster Hunter Wilds, the underworld areas are not where the majority of the game takes place. This is the first Monster Hunter game I played. Well, I did play 2 hours of Monster Hunter World way back when it came out, but I didn't really understand how to play and I gave up on it. So Monster Hunter Wilds is the first game in the series that I committed myself to play and beat, and I enjoyed it. I read some comments on Steam and other sites that Monster Hunter Wilds wasn't a true Monster Hunter game because Capcom made it easier than the others in the franchise. And if that's true, I can see their point. There are a lot of quality of life features in the game, like auto-traveling with your chocobo and having an abundance of resources for potions and buffs. If these features are new to the series, then yeah, I can see how this version might be an order of magnitude less challenging than, say, Monster Hunter World. But since I'm new to the series, I'm okay with it. This might not be the Monster Hunter game veterans of the series were hoping for, but as an entry point for new users like me, I think it's great. So I'm giving Monster Hunter Wilds a 4 out of 5. The combat is great and the monster designs and attack patterns are creative and fun. Some of the encounters do overstay their welcome a little bit, especially in some of the high rank battles, but it's not too bad and you can often get it under control by simply upgrading your gear. According to my Steam account, I put in 46.5 hours of gaming into Monster Hunter Wilds, but I know there's still lots more to discover. Also, if I wanted to experience the game in a completely different way, all I have to do is switch my primary weapon. I am curious if I could master the Great Sword. I don't know if this is a game that hardcore Monster Hunter enthusiasts would love. I understand being disappointed of a series you followed for so long that's known for being difficult with a pretty steep learning curve suddenly being simplified for a new audience. You can feel left out or ignored, and if that's how you feel, I won't disagree. But if you're new to the series or watched it from afar as I did, then I wholly recommend you take Monster Hunter Wilds for a ride. It might be Monster Hunter on easy mode, or at least easier mode, but it's still a good game. And if its success is any judge, more entries of the series will be made, and maybe they'll return to hardcore form with a sequel to Monster Hunter World or something of that nature. But if it's any consolation to the Monster Hunter elites out there, my time in Monster Hunter Wilds has sparked a greater interest in the series that I'm not sure would have happened had it not been so balanced for newcomers. In fact, I feel confident enough in my monster hunting skills that I just may jump into Monster Hunter World to get a taste of that hardcore monster hunting goodness.